This video is about hope. The cashier was mocked, but a billionaire gave her the keys to his office. If this story inspires you, please like the video, share it with loved ones, and write in the comments how it touched your heart. Part 1. The morning sun poured into the small town of Willow Creek, casting a warm glow on the bustling streets. At the corner of Maple and Fifth stood a modest grocery store, a lifeline for many residents. Inside, rows of brightly colored produce lined the shelves, but at the checkout counter, a young woman named Clara lived a different reality. Clara was 23 and had been working as a cashier since she was a teenager. The job didn't pay much, but it kept her afloat while she studied at the local community college. Her dream was to become a graphic designer, to create worlds that could inspire and uplift. But as she rang up groceries and smiled at customers, the weight of her reality pressed heavily on her shoulders. "Did you see that?" a customer whispered to her friend one day as Clara scanned the items. "She must be a genius with all those design books she buys. Too bad she's just a cashier." Clara's heart sank as she overheard them. It was an all-too-familiar sting of embarrassment. She had spent countless hours in the library, sketching and practicing her craft, only to feel like her aspirations were as invisible as the change she handed back to customers. One afternoon, as the store buzzed with the usual clamor, a commotion at the front caught her attention. A tall man in an impeccably tailored suit strode through the doors. He exuded an air of confidence that silenced the room. "Excuse me, ma'am," he called, directing his deep voice towards Clara. "Where can I find the coffee aisle?" "Right down the middle to your left," she replied, her heart racing. He nodded, and for a moment their eyes met. Clara felt a rush of warmth. It was as if she had caught a glimpse of a possibility beyond her day-to-day routine. Moments later, the man returned, his hands clutching a few bags of premium coffee. He placed them on the counter, along with an assortment of pastries from the bakery section. Clara couldn't help but admire his posture. He seemed to carry the weight of his success effortlessly. "Here you go," she said, ringing up his items. "That'll be $26.50. "Keep the change," he said with a smile that lit up the dimly lit store. "Thank you, sir," Clara exclaimed, her cheeks flushing. There was something reassuring about his presence, something genuine. As he turned to leave, he paused and glanced back. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Without thinking, Clara replied, "A graphic designer." "But it feels so far away." "Why do you think that?" he asked, genuinely curious. "It's hard," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just a cashier." He chuckled softly, his eyes twinkling. "No one is just anything. Every job teaches you something valuable. You just have to be brave enough to go for what you want." With that, he walked out, leaving Clara pondering his words. Little did she know, those words were the first seed of hope he'd plant in her heart that day. Days turned into weeks, but the man's visit lingered in Clara's mind. She found herself sketching more, using her lunch breaks to explore her creativity. She even began sharing her work on social media. The small victories felt monumental. Her friends cheered her on, but the harsh voices of doubt still crept in. "A cashier can't be a designer," they echoed in her thoughts. One evening, as she was closing up the store, she noticed a sharp click of heels approaching from outside. It was the man again, this time with a determined look on his face. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said, walking up to the register. "I'm Evan. I wanted to ask if you've ever thought about internships. Your designs, I've seen them online." Stunned, Clara fumbled with the register. You saw them?" "Of course. They have potential," he replied, his enthusiasm contagious. "How would you feel about working with me? I'm looking for someone to help with my startup. I could use a creative mind like yours." Her heart raced. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely. I can pay you for your time, and you'll gain experience." Clara couldn't breathe. The words swirled in her mind, but doubt flooded in. "But I'm just a cashier. What do I know about designing for a startup? Evan leaned closer, his gaze unwavering. You know far more than you give yourself credit for. Take this opportunity. You have the talent. You just need to believe in it. Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes as she felt the weight of his words. The familiar shadows of self-doubt began to lift, replaced by a flicker of hope. I'll think about it. With that, he handed her a sleek business card. Call me. I promise this could be the first step toward your dreams. The following days were a whirlwind of contemplation. Clara shared the news with her closest friends, who erupted with excitement. They filled her with encouragement, reminding her how hard she had worked. But the echoes of doubt still lingered. What if she failed? What if she wasn't good enough? One night, while sketching by her bedroom window, Clara stared at the moonlit sky. She thought of the path she had walked for so long, the dream she had tucked away. It was time to confront her fears. Tomorrow, she whispered to herself, determination building within her. Tomorrow, I'll call him. As the sun rose the next day, Clara felt a sense of purpose. She dialed Evan's number, her hands trembling with anticipation. Hello? His voice was warm and inviting. It's Clara, she said, taking a deep breath. I'd like to take you up on that offer. Fantastic! Let's meet this weekend and we can discuss everything. As she hung up, Clara felt a mix of joy and trepidation. She was stepping into the unknown, but the thought of embracing her dreams ignited a fire within her. The day of the meeting arrived and Clara donned her best outfit, a simple dress she had saved up for. She arrived at Evan's office, a modern space filled with creative energy. Welcome, Clara, he greeted, his excitement palpable. She stepped inside, her heart racing. The walls were adorned with innovative designs and sketches, a testament to creativity being brought to life. Clara felt a sense of belonging, yet the weight of self-doubt flickered in the back of her mind. Let's get started, Evan said, pulling out a whiteboard. They brainstormed ideas, Clara sharing her thoughts and sketches. We want to create a brand that resonates with people, something that inspires, he said, nodding. As the hours flew by, Clara felt herself relax. She was no longer just a cashier. She was a designer, a creator. Your ideas are brilliant, Clara, Evan praised. I can see the passion in your work. With each passing moment, Clara's confidence grew, the laughter and discussions igniting a spark she thought she had lost. But the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. There would be moments of uncertainty, times when she would feel out of her depth. Yet, with Evan's mentorship, Clara was ready to embrace her journey, to weave her dreams into reality. Remember, Evan said, sensing her wavering confidence, every great designer started somewhere. Just keep pushing through. With newfound resilience, Clara dove into her work, her heart full of hope. The small-town cashier was transforming into the designer she had always aspired to be. And in that journey, she learned that every setback was an opportunity to rise, to flourish, and to create a future filled with promise. As months passed, Clara forged deeper connections with her community, inspiring others to pursue their dreams. And through it all, she carried a simple lesson from Evan. Greatness isn't defined by where you start, but by how boldly you chase what you believe in. With each sketch, each idea brought to life, Clara discovered that the beauty of the human spirit lies in its resilience, its ability to rise, and its unwavering belief in the possibility of tomorrow. And her story was just beginning. Part 2 set in. As Clara settled into her new role at Evan's startup, she marveled at how far she had come in such a short time. The once timid cashier was emerging into a confident young woman, brimming with creativity and determination. Yet with every step forward, shadows of self-doubt still flitted around her, whispering uncertainties of her worth. One morning, Clara arrived early to the office, eager to put her latest ideas into motion. She had spent hours the night before sketching logos and branding concepts, her mind racing with possibilities. As she flipped through her sketches, a familiar voice jolted her from her concentration. "Hey, superstar," Ready to impress the world today? Evan stood at the doorway, his grin wide and infectious. Good morning. I hope so, Clara replied, her heart fluttering with excitement. Evan stepped into her workspace and examined her designs. These are fantastic. They really capture the essence of what we're trying to build. I can see your vision. A blush crept onto Clara's cheeks. Thank you. I just hope everyone else sees it too, she said, her voice wavering slightly. Evan placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. They will. You just need to keep believing in what you create. Remember, every artist faces criticism. It's how you grow. Clara nodded, but the seed of doubt still loomed over her. She reminded herself that growth often comes from discomfort, but it was hard to silence the inner critic. The following week, the team held a brainstorming session to discuss the upcoming product launch. Clara sat among professionals who had years of experience, and she felt her confidence waver. As they tossed around ideas, Clara remained quiet, unsure of how to contribute. Clara, Evan called out, his eyes encouraging. What do you think? Your voice matters here. Feeling the weight of his encouragement, she blurted out her thoughts. I think we should focus on the emotional connection our product can create. It's not just about the utility. It's about how it makes people feel. The room fell silent, and Clara's heart raced. She braced for the expected critiques. Instead, she was met with nods of approval. That's brilliant, one of her colleagues exclaimed. We need that emotional angle to resonate with our audience. As the team continued discussing Clara's idea, she felt a surge of empowerment wash over her. Perhaps she truly had a place in this world after all. As weeks turned into months, Clara faced various challenges, tight deadlines, demanding projects, and the inevitable pressures of the creative process. It became clear that pursuing dreams wasn't just about passion. It required grit and resilience. One evening, after a particularly long day, Clara returned home, exhausted. She sank onto her bed and stared at the ceiling, a familiar heaviness settling in her chest. Why did I think I could do this? She whispered to herself. The fears returned, whispering doubts about her abilities. Just then, her phone buzzed. A message from Evan. Hey, just wanted to check in. Remember, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. We all do. Let's catch up tomorrow. His message brought a wave of comfort, reminding her she wasn't alone in this journey. The next morning, they met for coffee to discuss her work. I feel like I'm constantly battling my doubts, Clara confessed, staring at her half-finished latte. Some days, I wonder if I'm cut out for this. Evan sipped his coffee, nodding thoughtfully. That's normal. It's part of the process. The truth is, everyone doubts themselves at times. What matters is how you respond to those doubts. She looked up, intrigued. What do you mean? Embrace the discomfort. Use it to fuel your passion. Think of it as a challenge to rise to, not a reason to back down. You're creating something beautiful. His enthusiasm was contagious. With renewed vigor, Clara returned to her work. She began exploring new techniques and styles, and each day she found herself growing more confident. The shadows of doubt still lingered, but she learned to dance with them, using their energy to propel herself forward instead of holding her back. However, the road wasn't always smooth. One afternoon, Clara presented her latest marketing campaign to the team, an idea she was immensely proud of. As she spoke, she could feel the excitement radiating from her colleagues. But when the discussion turned to potential challenges, criticism emerged. Can we really engage our audience like this? It feels a bit too ambitious, one team member remarked. Yeah, I'm not sure it'll resonate with everyone, another added, shaking his head. Clara's heart sank. She had poured so much of herself into this idea, and yet it was met with skepticism. But I believe in this vision, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. It's about pushing boundaries. Evan stepped in, sensing her frustration. Clara's right. Creativity is about taking risks. We can't be afraid to challenge norms if we want to make a real impact. The discussion shifted, and Clara felt the weight of Evan's support behind her. Though the doubt still stung, she realized that criticism didn't mean failure. It was an opportunity to refine her ideas, to grow. That evening, Clara returned home with a newfound resolve. She spent hours revisiting her project, incorporating the feedback into a more refined vision. When she presented it again, the response was overwhelmingly positive. "Now this feels powerful," one colleague exclaimed, and Clara beamed with pride. As the months flew by, Clara's work gained attention, her designs becoming a cornerstone of the startup's identity. She was invited to speak at local events, sharing her journey and encouraging others to pursue their dreams. One night, after an inspiring talk, a young girl approached her, eyes wide with admiration. "How did you do it? I want to be a designer too." Clara knelt down, meeting her gaze. "You just have to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot be. Follow your heart and be brave." The girl nodded earnestly, and Clara's heart swelled. In that moment, she realized her journey was about more than just her aspirations. It was about uplifting others, inspiring them to chase their dreams. Yet, even as she flourished, Clara remained grounded in her roots. She often visited the grocery store where she once worked, sharing her story with those who felt lost or underestimated. Each encounter reminded her of the importance of kindness, of lifting others as she climbed. One afternoon, while on a break, Clara spotted a familiar face at the checkout counter. It was Mrs. Thompson, an elderly woman from the neighborhood who had often shared stories with Clara during her shifts. "Clara, is that you?" Mrs. Thompson exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "I heard about your amazing designs. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. It means the world to hear that." As they chatted, Clara couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the journey she had taken. The struggle, the doubt, the triumphs, they all melded together to create a tapestry of resilience. Months turned into a year, and Clara found herself at the forefront of her own design project, leading a team to create a campaign aimed at empowering young artists. Every detail felt personal, and she poured her heart into it. On the day of the launch, Clara stood in front of a diverse crowd, her heart racing with anticipation. She shared her story, her struggles, and how she had come to realize that the beauty of the human spirit lies in its resilience. "Dreams are not just for the fortunate," she declared passionately. "They are for everyone willing to fight for them. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you can't achieve." As thunderous applause filled the room, Clara felt a rush of joy wash over her. She had transformed from a cashier, often mocked for her aspirations, into a voice of hope for others. In the end, Clara learned that life's challenges were not meant to defeat her, but to shape her into a stronger, more compassionate person. The journey of transformation was ongoing, filled with new hurdles waiting to be conquered. Yet, with every step, she knew she was not just chasing her dreams. She was lighting the way for others too. Through her story, Clara discovered the power of believing not just in oneself, but in the incredible potential of the human spirit to rise, inspire, and thrive against all odds. And with that belief, she carried hope into the world, creating a ripple effect that echoed through Willow Creek and beyond. Part 3. As Clara stepped into her role as a leader in the design project, the weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders like a well-worn coat. The excitement of her past successes mingled with the anxiety of new expectations. She had once felt lost within the confines of a grocery store, but now she stood at the front of a room filled with bright, eager minds, each looking to her for direction. "All right, team, let's gather around," Clara said, her voice steady despite the fluttering in her chest. She glanced at the circle of young artists, each one filled with their own unique perspectives. "I want to hear your ideas for the campaign. What does empowerment mean to you?" "Empowerment is about giving voice to those who feel unheard," a young woman named Maya said. Her hair was a vibrant cascade of colors, a reflection of her eclectic spirit. "We could highlight stories from our community, showcasing artists who have overcome obstacles." I love that idea, Clara replied, a spark of enthusiasm igniting within her. Let's create a series of short videos capturing their journeys. We can inspire others by showing the real struggles behind the art. As the brainstorming session continued, Clara felt the familiar flicker of self-doubt creep back into the periphery of her mind. What if she led them astray? What if they failed to connect with the audience? But every time her fear threatened to take over, she recalled Evan's words, "Embrace the discomfort." Clara? Another team member, Jake, interrupted her thoughts. What's your vision for the project? Realizing everyone was waiting for her input, she took a deep breath. I envision a campaign that transforms vulnerability into strength. We can showcase not just success stories, but also the challenges these artists face. Maya nodded. That's powerful. We should film in their environments, highlight their process, the raw moments of creation. Yes, let's make it real, Clara said, her confidence growing with each passing second. It's crucial that we reflect authenticity. People connect with genuine stories. As the team continued to share ideas, Clara felt the energy in the room shift. It wasn't just her vision anymore. It was theirs too. They were weaving together a tapestry of creativity, each thread rich with the experiences of their lives. However, the journey was not without its obstacles. As the project progressed, they encountered unforeseen challenges. 1 week before the campaign's launch, Clara received a call from their production team. Clara, we have an issue, the voice on the other end said, laced with urgency. The location we planned to shoot at has fallen through. We need to find a new space, fast. Her heart dropped. Time was slipping through their fingers. Okay, I'll start reaching out to contacts. We can make this work, she replied, determination seeping into her voice. After hours of frantic phone calls and emails, Clara finally secured a small community center that could serve as a backdrop for their videos. But the stress weighed heavily on her. The team relied on her, and she couldn't afford to let them down. When she returned to the office, she found Maya and Jake poring over storyboards. Hey, we know the location fell through, but we've got your back, Jake said, his tone reassuring. We can adapt. We're a creative team. We thrive under pressure. Exactly, Maya added, her eyes alight with possibility. Let's brainstorm how we can use this new space creatively. It could even add a unique element to our stories. Clara felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Thank you both. I can't tell you how much that means to me, she said, her voice breaking slightly. She realized that it was moments like these that defined teamwork. Not just the successes, but how they rallied together through adversity. As they delved back into the work, Clara's spirits lifted. Creativity began to spark as they discussed lighting, angles, and how to incorporate the community center into their narrative. They worked late into the night, laughter mingling with the scent of pizza as they fueled their brainstorming with food and camaraderie. But the following days brought fresh challenges. During a team meeting, Clara presented their final plans to the broader team. She felt a swell of pride as she shared their vision, but the room was filled with an air of skepticism. I'm not sure this concept will resonate, one of the senior team members chimed in. It seems ambitious, maybe even unrelatable to our audience. Clara's heart sank. She had worked so hard, and now doubt seeped into her confidence. But it's real. It's about people's stories, she argued, her voice wavering. We're not just selling a product, we're sharing experiences. Evan, who had been quietly observing, interjected. Clara's right. True connection comes from authenticity. These stories matter, and our audience craves that depth. Let's not lose sight of who we are. His support steadied her, and she felt a surge of renewed energy. Exactly. Let's not shy away from the emotional aspects. People want to feel something, to relate to others, Clara added, her voice stronger now. The discussion shifted. Ideas began to flow, and the focus returned to the heart of their campaign. Clara left the meeting feeling a mix of relief and determination. She knew that setbacks were part of the process, and each challenge offered lessons in resilience. As the launch approached, Clara's excitement mounted. The day arrived and their community center filled with vibrant colors, laughter, and the energy of creativity. The video shoot began, and Clara watched as the artists shared their stories. Some were tales of struggle, others of triumph, but all were woven with threads of resilience. "Thank you for believing in us," one artist said directly to the camera, tears glistening in her eyes, for showing that our voices matter. As Clara listened, she felt the weight of her own journey, how far she had come, the hurdles she had leapt over, and the support she had received. These stories reminded her of the very essence of her dreams. They were not just about her, but about lifting others, amplifying their voices. After the final shoot, the team gathered in a circle, high-fiving and celebrating their hard work. "We did it!" Clara exclaimed, her heart full. "Thank you all for your dedication and passion. This isn't just a campaign, it's a movement." Jake raised his drink. "To Clara, for leading us through every twist and turn." "To all of us," Maya added, her voice ringing with enthusiasm. "Together, we created something beautiful." As they toasted, Clara felt a profound sense of belonging. They had all fought their own battles, and in each other, they found strength and inspiration. Finally, the day of the campaign launch arrived, and the excitement buzzed in the air. Clara stood in front of a crowd that had gathered to witness their work. She watched as the videos played, showcasing the heartfelt stories of artists overcoming adversity. Each story resonated with the audience, sparking conversations and connections. When the applause erupted at the end of the presentation, Clara felt tears welling in her eyes. She had done it, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever doubted their potential. As the crowd dispersed, a young boy approached her, his eyes wide with admiration. "How did you make this happen?" he asked, his voice filled with awe. Clara knelt down to his level, her heart swelling. "It took a lot of hard work, but the most important thing is to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone ever tell you what you can or can't achieve." The boy nodded, and Clara saw the spark of possibility in his eyes. In that moment, she realized that her journey had the power to inspire the next generation. Weeks passed, and Clara continued to engage with her community. She held workshops for budding artists, sharing her knowledge and encouraging them to express their creativity. "Art is a way to find your voice," she told them during one session. "It's okay to stumble. Just remember to get back up." One afternoon, while visiting the grocery store to pick up a few items, Clara bumped into Mrs. Thompson again. "Clara, you're shining brighter every time I see you," the elderly woman exclaimed, her face lighting up with pride. "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," Clara said, embracing her warmly. "Your support has meant the world to me." As they exchanged stories, Clara felt the warmth of community envelop her once more. It was a circle of resilience, one where kindness and encouragement fueled the human spirit. And as Clara walked home that evening, she reflected on her journey from a cashier, often mocked for her dreams, to a voice that inspired countless others. It was a testament to the power of belief, resilience, and the unwavering beauty of the human spirit. In that moment, she knew her story was still unfolding, filled with the promise of tomorrow and the magnificent potential that lay in every heart willing to chase their dreams. Clara held on to that hope, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that she was never alone in her journey. As Clara walked through the familiar streets of Willow Creek, she felt a sense of belonging wash over her. Just months ago, she had been a cashier, often doubting her dreams and feeling overshadowed by the weight of expectations. Now, she was a designer and a leader, inspiring others with her journey. Yet, each day brought its own set of challenges. At her startup, the pressure to innovate and stay ahead of trends grew alongside her burgeoning confidence. Clara often found herself staring at the blank canvas of her sketchpad, the weight of possibility both exhilarating and daunting. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she sat in her office, pen hovering over the page, feeling the familiar grip of self-doubt tighten around her chest. "Clara?" Evan's voice broke her concentration, pulling her back from the abyss of worry. He stepped into her office, a warm smile on his face. "How's the design coming along for the upcoming pitch?" "I don't know," Clara confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've sketched a few things, but nothing feels right. What if we miss the mark? What if I'm not as talented as I think?" Evan sat down across from her, his expression earnest. "You're human, Clara. Every artist goes through this. Remember what you taught the kids at your workshop. It's okay to stumble. It's part of the process." Her heart swelled with his belief in her. "You're right. Sometimes it feels like I'm on a tightrope. One misstep, and everything could come crashing down." "Life is about balancing those risks," he replied, leaning forward. "Don't forget where you started. You've come so far. Focus on what you want to create, not the fear of what might go wrong." Clara took a deep breath, the flicker of hope igniting within her once more. "Thanks, Evan. I needed that. I just want this project to resonate with everyone who sees it." "Then make it authentic. Pour your heart into it," he encouraged. "I believe in you, Clara, and so will everyone else." Rejuvenated by his words, Clara returned to her sketches, her heart dancing with renewed purpose. She lost track of time, diving into the realm of creativity that had once felt so distant. She drew inspiration from the stories she had encountered during her workshops, the struggles and triumphs of fellow artists weaving themselves into her designs. The next week, as Clara prepared for the pitch, she felt a mix of excitement and anxiety fluttering in her stomach. The conference room was filled with team members and stakeholders, their faces a blend of curiosity and expectation. Clara took a deep breath, remembering Evan's advice, and stepped forward. "Thank you all for being here today," she started, her voice steady despite the rush of adrenaline. "I want to share not just designs, but the stories behind them. These are more than mere visuals. They reflect the resilience and dreams of our community." As she revealed her designs, each slide echoed with the heartbeat of the artists they represented. She spoke passionately about their journeys, how they had overcome obstacles and transformed their struggles into art. Clara's voice grew stronger with every word, igniting a fire within the room. "Art transcends boundaries. It connects us," she continued, her eyes scanning the audience. "When we share these stories, we invite others to see themselves in them. We empower them to embrace their own journey." When she finished, the room erupted in applause. Relief flooded Clara's veins, and she glanced at Evan, who wore a proud smile. "You nailed it, Clara," he beamed, giving her a thumbs up. But just as she reveled in the moment, one of the senior executives raised a hand. "I appreciate the passion, Clara, but can we backtrack a bit? How do we ensure that these stories translate to sales? At the end of the day, we need to focus on the marketability." Clara's heart sank. She had anticipated some skepticism, but the blow still stung. "I understand," she replied, striving to maintain composure. "But I believe the connection we create through these stories will resonate with the audience. Authenticity drives loyalty, and loyalty drives sales." The executive remained unconvinced. "That sounds idealistic. We need tangible results," Evan interjected, his voice steady. "Clara's right. Authenticity is what sets us apart in a saturated market. Customers crave genuine connections. We need to take that leap of faith." The room buzzed with murmurs, and Clara felt the weight of every person's gaze upon her. Her heart raced as she prepared to defend her vision. What if we focus on a campaign that not only showcases the designs, but also highlights the artists behind them? Let's share their struggles, their victories, and why our product matters to them. It's not just a sale, it's a movement. A few heads nodded, and Clara's confidence swelled as she continued. "If we can engage people on an emotional level, we're not just selling a product, we're inviting them into a story, a community." Slowly, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. The executive looked contemplative, tapping his pen against the table. "That could work," he said, a hint of curiosity in his tone. but we'll need a solid strategy to back it up." "Agreed," Clara exclaimed, her heart racing with hope. "We can create a digital campaign with video stories, artist interviews, and real-time engagement. We can involve the community through workshops and events. Let's make this a collaborative effort." After a few more discussions, the atmosphere was charged with renewed enthusiasm. Clara's vision was gaining traction, and the executive finally nodded. "Fine, let's move forward with this approach, but we'll need regular updates on how it's impacting sales." Clara breathed a sigh of relief, her heart soaring. "Thank you for the opportunity. I won't let you down." As she left the meeting, Clara felt a rush of gratitude. She had learned that resilience isn't just about overcoming failure. It's about standing firm in the face of doubt and believing in the power of connection. Weeks rolled into months, and the campaign took off, breathing life into Clara's vision. Videos of artists sharing their stories circulated online, drawing in audiences eager to support the community. Clara poured her heart into the project, meeting artists, learning their stories, and weaving them into every piece of design. One day, while filming at a local art studio, Clara met a young artist named Leo. He was shy but had a spark in his eye that intrigued her. "I've always loved to paint but never thought anyone would care to see it," Leo admitted as he wiped paint from his hands. "Why not? Your art is beautiful," Clara encouraged, gesturing to a canvas filled with vibrant colors. "What does it mean to you?" "It's my escape," he whispered, looking down. "But I've faced a lot of rejection. I'm not sure if I'm good enough." "Trust me, your voice matters," Clara said, her heart aching for him. "Part of our campaign is to show that every artist has value. You should share your story. It could inspire someone else who feels the same way." Leo hesitated, but ultimately agreed to be featured in the campaign. As he spoke about his journey, Clara saw a transformation in him, the weight of fear lifting as he shared his passion. "I've always been afraid of judgment," he admitted, tears glistening in his eyes. "But I want to create without fear." Clara wiped her own tears, moved by his vulnerability. "That's the essence of art. It's about sharing your voice, regardless of the outcome. You've inspired me today." As the campaign continued to flourish, Clara received countless messages from people who resonated with the stories shared. Artists reached out, thanking her for giving them a platform, while community members expressed gratitude for showcasing the beauty in their struggles. But amidst the success, Clara remained grounded, often visiting the grocery store to connect with her roots. One afternoon, she spotted Mrs. Thompson again, who was happily chatting with other customers. Clara felt her heart swell at the sight of the warm, familiar face. "There you are, dear," Mrs. Thompson exclaimed as Clara approached. "I've been following your journey. Your work is inspiring." "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson," Clara said, her eyes shining. "It's your support that kept me going. I owe so much to the community." As they chatted, Clara felt the weight of her journey, the struggles, the victories, and the people who had lifted her along the way. Mrs. Thompson had been one of those crucial figures, and Clara realized that every interaction, every piece of encouragement, had contributed to her growth. One day, Clara stood in front of a crowd once more, this time at the launch event designed to celebrate the campaign. The room buzzed with energy, filled with artists, families, and community members who had gathered to honor their shared stories. "Thank you all for being here," Clara began, her voice resonating with emotion. "Today, we celebrate the beautiful stories of resilience and creativity that unite us. Each of you carries a spark of inspiration, and together, we can uplift one another." As she shared stories of Leo and other artists, Clara felt alive. She saw the faces in the crowd light up, the power of connection weaving through the air. The applause that followed wasn't just to